Hello everybody, we're looking at something different today as we check out the top 10 launch titles in video game history. Now for this particular list, we're only looking at one game per franchise and the 8th generation of consoles are omitted because, staying power is part of them. You'll see. Well, you can't launch a console without exciting killer titles to shift units. Now, usually the best games come at the end of the console cycle once development teams are more used to the tech. But if you can hit the ground running, then why not? Here, in my humble opinion, are the top 10 games that drop harder than Inafune's reputation. Too soon? Now remember, this is a subjective list, but I actually cared enough to make a video. So let's go! Number 10. Kameo Elements, released on the Xbox 360 in 2005. Now this one is more for me, but when I was playing the game inside the store, it felt new generation to me. Rare had always created fun games packed with character and innovation. Kameo is no exception, with a simple story and interesting game mechanics and environments to really show off the power of the Xbox 360. Not a game that will echo out throughout the ages, but shown a great amount of promise for the Xbox 360. Number 9. Combat, released on the Atari 2600 in 1978. Okay, so this isn't one of the video game titans like Pong, Pac-Man or Space Invaders, the ones that spawned the worldwide industry. But when it came to the concept of not going to the arcade and switching games on the fly, then this was a perfect example of the variety that was going to be on offer. The amount of modes offered for this game really pushed up the value and supported the granddaddy of all home consoles. Let's be honest though, if Combat was released today, then the rest of the modes would probably be locked in DLC. Number 8. Golden Axe, released on the Sega Mega Drive in 1990. Okay, over in the UK we called it the Mega Drive, don't hate. More importantly, while Golden Axe is not as revered as other titles that brought the arcade into the TV room, I would argue that this was a great port that left all the elements intact that made it fun in the arcade. This was always a solid beat 'em up that has been included in many future compilation releases. Number 7. F-Zero, released for the Super Nintendo in 1990. Now racing and sports video games were old hat by this point, but here came something vibrant, fast and thrilling to play. So let's all scale and rotate, for those of you who've heard of Mode 7, with this fantastic racing title. Packed with a challenging Grand Prix mode and distinctive design, gives it an almost timeless quality that still kind of holds up, kind of. In any case, Nintendo has broken the mold again. Number 6. Tekken Tag Tournament, released on the PS2 in 2000. Now, Tekken 2 and 3 were both fighting game classics, a staple of parties to this day, and the culmination of years of effort and creativity. So when Sony needed some extra spice to follow up their foray into home video game consoles, they obviously came to the right people. This wasn't just a great evolution of the fighting system, but a celebration of the franchise today. Every character was here. So for fans making the transition from PS1, there would be no regrets picking this up. This game contributed to the runaway success of the PS2, besides it being a badass DVD player. But speaking of fantastic 3D fighters, number 5. Soul Calibur, released on the Sega Dreamcast in 1999. The Dreamcast may have bit the dust prematurely, but the soul still burns. Keeping to the theme of worthy ports from the arcade, boy did Soul Calibur live up. It had style, accessibility while retaining depth, a great concept, diverse character designs, kinetic stages, and one heck of an announcer, also Yoshimitsu. This represents a turning point where a fighting game could actually be considered superior to the arcade counterpart. Unfortunately, it didn't save the Dreamcast, but this series has endured. Well done. Number 4. Halo, released on the Microsoft Xbox in 2001. Okay, let's just run down this list. Major hype, check. Delivered on promise, check. Changed the video game landscape, double check. Okay, Halo changed everything. Online multiplayer, regenerating health, the epic orchestral soundtrack, and launched a sprawling multimedia dynasty. The game itself is pretty solid and holds up. It has a great overarching plot, and the gameplay, well, do I need to run down that list again? Now, this made people take the Xbox seriously and Microsoft seriously, and sold over 5 million copies. This is one of the definitions of a killer app. Number 3, Wii Sports, released on the Wii in 2006. Okay, let's go back 10, 12 years. By that time, it was clear that the GameCube could not compete with its contemporaries. And once again, how do Nintendo respond? Well, by busting the mainstream open again, in the only way that this company knows how. They lost the market share for hardcore gamers, so they decided to change the state of play. Geniuses. Wii Sports is one of the ultimate casual titles and became part of the culture in family homes for the next decade. The collection of games were functional and fun to play with friends, and introduced the whole me thing. It was an easy sale that put Nintendo right back on top. Number 2, Super Mario Bros., released on the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1985. The video game crash was like a dark age for video games, and unfortunately has parallels to the Steam shop of this decade, but there was a ray of sunlight. Nintendo had come along when the home market had collapsed in many respects, and out of that dark period came a game that revitalized the platformer genre and produced a Japanese icon. Super Mario had arrived. Now, I could have picked Super Mario 64 or Super Nintendo and ran with it, but Super Mario Bros. In particular was revolutionary in terms of its control and level design. Okay, here it comes. Number 1, Tetris, released for the Game Boy in 1990. The politics and events of how this game was secured for the launch of perhaps the most iconic portable system of its time could very well be its own movie, and could very well win an Oscar. Who knows, Suicide Squad did. But boy, was this a slam dunk, home run, perfect goal sports analogy here? In terms of pairing the puzzle game genre with on-the-go accessibility. This was so genius that I cannot believe that Nintendo do not have a firm grip on the mobile video game industry. Oh well. This is one of those perfect games where everything works. The difficulty curve, simple controls, music, the on-screen design. Even having the lines clear so that the game can just continue was a masterstroke. The legacy it commands when even a slight tweak here and there can make something new and amazing. According to USA Today, over 35 million units have been sold on the original Game Boy. Even though this list is subjective, I felt that any way you want to slice it, this is the ultimate killer app. There is no way that you can rate something above it. Thank you Gunpei Yokoi and Alexei Pachinov and both of their teams for this amazing game. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe for more content. And good luck. I don't know what with, sorry. See you later.